Hey you guys, it's Nick and Betsy, and this is our third video log updating you on our contest prep. And we want to just give you like a little play-by-play on where we're at in our prep and kind of tell you how we're managing and kind of some coping mechanisms and like things to keep you sane while you're going through it, especially together if you're going through it with someone. So for me, it's been a little bit of a shifting gears. So I decided not to compete in March for sure. It was always kind of up in the air. But I'm taking the time to set my eyes on something a little bit later. Something like May or June. And then I'm definitely still planning on Team U, which will be July 3rd and 4th. So that'll be a big national show. And Nick's actually thinking he might do it with me. And that'll be my first national show. And at that point, I'll be your second.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with me. My diet is a little bit more focused on building muscle, keeping muscle right now, but also maintaining leanness. So I'm keeping the carbs up still pretty high. Protein's always the same for the most part. 25, 30 grams of protein every meal, 6 to 8 meals. And that's kind of what's going on in my contest prep right now. And the comments have been really funny that I've been getting during my prep. I've, like classmates who kind of are very inquisitive about it. And of course, Nick has coworkers who are very like, "What are you eating? Do you eat out of Tupperware? Or you make all your meals?" And I have one classmate who thinks it's a compliment to call me a dude. He goes up to me and he's not from here. He says, "Oh, Betsy, you look like a dude." And he grabs my arms and I'm like, "Oh, thank you. Because, gosh, bless his heart. He thinks he's giving me a compliment. Thank you. That means I'm doing something right." People are starting to look at me a little bit more like I'm an alien when I walk through public places with tank tops. So that's fun. It's nice to be able to see the muscles under some of these layers of peanut butter on my arms. And the other comments I get is, "Oh my goodness, I get so much food. Don't you get sick of eating?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, I'm always hungry." But the thing is, our meals, certainly my meals, are anywhere from 150 to 320 calories. So if you eat that 6 times a day, you're only getting over 1,800 calories. So it's funny. It looks like a lot of food, but very nutrient-dense food can often be you can eat quite a bit of volume. That's why what I like about eating so healthy. I can eat a ton of vegetables. You just really fill up on them, and it's like 30 calories. And sometimes you eat too much broccoli and
and it distends your stomach.
Anyway, go ahead.
Betsy, why don't you talk about the change that you made kind of like this week, or last week, I guess, and, maybe talk about your struggles a little bit and what you did and how you're feeling, like you're feeling pretty good about the decision you made and decided to work with somebody?
Yeah, so I took the jump, and I knew I would eventually hire somebody to help me through my prep, but I wasn't really sure when it would be. But I made the move, and I'll say who it is in a second, but I'm going to say it's so incredibly liberating to have somebody else do my prep. It's really been nice, and, I feel like Nick and I talk about all the time, we're cognitively able to provide anybody with a nutrition plan or a workout plan to help them meet their goals. But when it comes to yourself and finding yourself accountable, holding yourself accountable, it's really difficult. So it's really helpful for me. I've been feeling much better because I'm not second guessing myself. I'm not like, "Oh, maybe I'm not doing enough of this. Maybe, too much of this." I'm really just sticking to the plan to a T. I mean, everything he tells me to eat. If he told me that I needed to go outside and eat dog crap because that was what was on the plan, just saying, to a T, everything. And I feel so much better, just relieved. I don't want to have to go through everything that I'm going through right now with school, with research, with, trying to make it time for the gym, coming here every weekend, to see Nick, 'cause you have to make time. You have to. You'll go crazy if you just live at the gym. It takes all of the thinking out of it, And I'm working with Shelby Starnes, and he's really cool. And he's been really, really supportive and amazing feedback and really quick to respond. So I'm very happy so far. It's
Definitely.
been a week.
Have noticed a big change in your spirit and your attitude towards dieting, and you're just like progressing with an air of confidence about you, because you're not second guessing like yourself, and we know what to do. It's just we don't always are the best at applying it to ourselves. So it's definitely changed Betsy's spirit and her confidence a little bit in that area, of her life and her contest prep. And the girl can cook. She knows how to get things to fit into macros and all that stuff. Like she's good, but she's definitely moved forward this past week with just a new era of confidence. Towards her nutrition, and really kind of getting serious about what show she wants to do, and throwing some dates around there. So it was a pretty cool change for me to see her, be happy and progress, with a positive spirit. So
yeah, it's been really good. I'm pretty excited.
So something else we wanted to talk to you about was the fact that, like Betsy said, like you kind of have to like make time. You have to put aside time, like whatever the case may be. And something that we did tonight was Betsy. We went to Sam's Club today. We loaded up on our stuff for the week, and Betsy just happened to start cooking tonight instead of on Sunday. And we actually sat down and had like a hot meal on a plate with a fork and a spoon.
Weird, I know.
And it tasted so good. It was fresh. It wasn't out of a Rubbermaid container. It wasn't, in the car. It wasn't cold. It was just a warm, hot meal, on a plate. Like, we were actually, like, civilized couple, like, sitting down and spending some time together and talking, and that's something that's really important, too. Hopefully your loved one, significant other, family is on board with what you're doing, but you have to, you still have to, within the constraints of what you're doing in contest prep, you still got to make time, for each other.
Yeah, and especially if you're with somebody who's not a competitor, who might not quite understand. Right. It's really, really, really difficult for somebody to understand how much time goes into it. And even, if you're not there at the gym or you're not there food prepping, there's preparation that goes into it and time and planning. So just taking that time, even if it's just once a week, like we're doing now, to sit down with them and eat a meal off of a plate.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We kind of like said this was really nice, and once a week we're going to really, we're going to set aside an hour. We're going to cook, and we're going to sit down and eat and drink out of glasses and not gallon jugs, and well, we did that anyway. Yeah. But we ate off a plate. We ate off a plate tonight. So anyway, so that was something we wanted to touch on.
Tell me about your prep.
My prep is still going. We're like 25 days out, so the light at the end of the tunnel is getting a little brighter. Not much has really changed with my diet. We've added in a little bit more carbs. It's like 4 ounces in the morning of sweet potato and 6 ounces post-workout of sweet potato. So I got a little bit more than 25 grams because I had low-carb brain. It was really hard to function. Betsy says, like, all the time, she's like, we've talked about that, like, 3 times now. And I'm like, I don't remember the conversation. I don't, remember us, like, it was being talked about, but I cannot remember, like, the content of the conversation. So luckily she understands. And
I mostly understand. And then, sometimes I get mad at him because I'm like, God, I'm talking to you. And he's like, I don't know, you're talking to me. I'm like, I'm sorry. And then we yell at each other, and then it's fine.
No,
sometimes, yeah.
We barely ever yell at each other.
We don't yell at each other.
We really rarely fight.
No, as far as actually fighting, no. But honestly, I think that I can imagine if somebody who isn't in a relationship with another person who is a competitor, it's real. I mean, when your nerves are, you are so on edge, and, your cognitive functioning is not, you are so smart. But I'm just saying, like, your cognitive functioning is not on point. because you just carb depleted. Like, your brain cell's like, oh my God, feed me, I need glucose.
Yeah, and that's the primary source. I mean, that's like the only source of fuel for your brain cells is glucose. So when you're not taking it in, like, operations just shut down.
Yeah.
You know, you start functioning at 30, 40, 50, 60%, you know. And
it's your new normal.
It's your new normal until you get...
He says that all the time.
Until you get your body, you know, back up. But so, diet's still about the same. Training, you know...
Well, it's a little different.
What?
It's a little different.
Oh, with the sweet potato?
You get a tater now.
Yeah, I get a tater.
He's now on 50 carbs instead of 25. Yeah, huge guy. So he gets 4 ounces in the morning and he gets 6 ounces at night.
And then as far as training goes, you know, like every week you just, you know, it gets harder and a backward slide to really, you know, put in the work. It takes more effort every week. Every week that passes right now, just because the calories have been so low, the carbs are so restricted. You know, my strength is still there for a couple sets, but as far as like going in and doing the amount of work that I'm used to doing and lifting, you know, heavy weight for 4 sets and multiple exercises, it's the energy and the go just isn't there. So, you know, you go in, you do what you can, you know. We did a superset today with rack pulls and then side lat raise. Completely, like, zapped my energy. I had, like, nothing left.
That was it.
And then the rest of the workout was just kind of, like, downhill from there, you know, and then...
But this is not the time to be worried about being strong, and that's the whole point. Like, usually you go to the gym, you're worried about getting stronger, getting bigger, you go in there with some type of goal. The goal right now is just to maintain and to stimulate, not annihilate. That's what Nick says. You know, you need to stimulate the muscle, go in there, get good contractions, you can't get a pump on 50 carbs.
No.
Your muscles don't become full. Your cell volume is like, bloop, 0.
Yeah. You can feel the muscle working, but as far as, like, you know, getting a pump, you know, and walking around, you know, kind of inflated a little bit, doesn't really happen right now. I get a little veiny, and that's about it. So... you know,
can't get too discouraged.
Can feel the muscle working, you know, obviously, but, you know, and I'm one of those people, too, that I don't believe in changing your training, you know, like, the closer you get to a show. I still think you should go in and use the same concepts and theories that you subscribe to, that got you to that point. So, obviously, there's a few things that change as far as, you know, getting a little less sleep at night and, you know, your diet, so... Obviously, those things are going to affect your training, but you still should go in with the same mentality. You know, I know some competitors talk about, like, taking their reps up to 12, 15, 20 reps and just, you know, trying to sculpt the muscle and all this stuff. Like, I don't subscribe to that. So I subscribe to, you know, just going in and hitting it hard, compound movements and then isolation movements, you know, as many reps as I can get, you know, a couple forced reps. And we do a few things there just to fatigue the muscle and to take it to, you know, take it to the next level, if you will. But so yeah, that's training, diet, and us. Yeah,
and just comment about training too. Bodybuilding, as far as hypertrophy or muscle growth goes, is by definition a more high repetition practice. So, I mean, you're really looking at more of a 10 to 12 rep range to build muscle, and often even higher. Some of those bodybuilders like to call that shocking the muscle. But, I mean, really it's just using different techniques to really stimulate that muscle. So, in general, it's a higher repetition practice anyhow, which is not to say that we don't do low rep movements. I, in particular, really enjoy a lot of power movements. Like, I will still go in for a max squat, and I'm still working on my deadlift. So, 225 for 4, what? Anyways. But, no, it's not to say you neglect the power movements, but it's, in general, pretty high rep. So, it doesn't really make sense to me to bring your reps up to, like, 20 or 30, where you're really looking at more of an endurance-type workout, just because your energy stores are lower, because you're really just depleting even more of the sugars in your muscles. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all we got.
That's it.
That's it.
Eat off a plate and dieting stupid.
So 25 days to go for me, and I'll get a nice meal and hamburger and fries and a brownie after the Arnold.
I'm going to make you eat that brownie with me.
Right, and then I'm going to buy her a box or a container of the red velvet Oreos because she just wants one. She just wants to try one.
He's gonna do a line.
So I'm gonna buy her a container of Oreos of the red velvet.